Gonna put on some music so I can start recording.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Rev and welcome back to another Dauntless video. In today's video, we're going to be going over the Terra Escalation island here on the roadmap. There's a few more things outside of the Terra Escalation, so we're going to encompass the whole patch based on what they've given us here on the roadmap. So we're looking at things like lore and locale, legendary weapon ability, behemoth, amps and theming, the hunt pass, general hopes, etc. But before I do get into it, I do want to say that we have a join button now. This is something that I haven't really announced super formally, but we have a join button. If you're so inclined to support the channel even further, I'd greatly appreciate it. And you also get the in-game partner flare of my little emote, thumbs up emote, and I'll put that somewhere. Anyway, let's get on right into the video, and let's look at some Terra Escalation. The islands of the frontier have been dangerous and untamed. But as the wave of Terra Escalation, I can't read. The islands of the frontier have always been dangerous and untamed. But as a wave of Terra Aether builds in these strange new lands, that danger grows like a malevolent infestation. Tales of the encroaching threat have even reached the ears of Zelia the Farslayer, and with them a warning: the wilds are not what they seem. And here we have a what seems like a forest area, or a mountainous sort of stony area that is infested with mushrooms. So I'll go ahead and kick it off with lore and locale, because I've actually already read this, but my favorite faction in Dauntless is the Farslayers. And the reason for that is when I first started the game, the Farslayers were like, this is who you want to be. You know, in like Mega Man and, you know, Mega Man X, it's like Zero comes in and saves you, and you're Mega Man. It's like the Farslayers are Zero in this sort of situation. And it's like, you want to be a Farslayer. You want to be the badass. You want to be the really like top tier Slayer and wear their garb, their badge of honor, right? And so I really hope that we see more Farslayers, maybe even like another NPC like Zelia. It would be really cool if there was like maybe there's like a little bit of drama between the Farslayers, and that's why they only operate on their own. The Farslayers specifically go to the furthest reaches, aka the wilds, and they're more attuned to the Aether like nature, and more like druidic powers, I suppose. Their weapons are made of wood, their garb is like very druidic, and Zelia almost looks like she has like anthropomorphic ears, and that might be like cat ears. I'm not sure if that's the correct terminology. I could be entirely butchering it. I am sorry. Anyway, it would be cool if those became customization options, but also like more characters like Zelia. I think that would be really cool. So the lore of the Farslayers is really cool, and I think that this escalation is obviously best fit for the Farslayers. So as far as like the wilds and how they look, I was hoping for a more mystical aspect to them, more magical, more fantasy, as opposed to kind of like a hard, just like it's a mustard infestation, mushroom infestation. But they could go with like another thorn-bound sort of variant behemoth, where it's like spore, you know, they have like mushrooms coming off of it, more parasitic. And to me that's overdone. I don't really enjoy that, like the whole, you know, oh, mushrooms are taking over and controlling the behemoths, and I don't know, to me that's not exciting. I would rather just have a more like fantasy, colorful, mystical sort of dreamland almost. And I think that would be really, really cool for a Terra Escalation. But it doesn't seem like I'm gonna be met with high expectations of that, with just based on this concept art. It's very earthy tones and it's almost gritty, to the point that I'm pretty much just kind of throwing that out the window. As far as like a behemoth goes, and this is something that I'm stealing from my stream because I think it's a really good idea, is like a tree frog or like a poison dart frog behemoth. I think that is an interesting enough and different behemoth that would be enjoyable to fight and also could look really, really sick in this theming. Poison, you know, add poison to your legendary ability. It's nothing insane. You could do like building minor damage over time, and maybe it's like a leeching poison. It gives you a little bit of heal in the aspect of Terra. You could do something like that. I feel like with Iceborne, maybe something right off the gate that might not be the best. As far as legendary weapon abilities, they tried to make them not super OP, but also make them interesting enough and stylish enough that I can't really think of like if a frog had a legendary ability, I imagine it would look exactly like Thrax's legendary ability, right? Like you jump up and then slam back down or something. Oh, maybe like a scorpion cable. That'd be cool. Like get over here, but you like pull yourself. It's like lasso mode. God, I hate lasso mode. It's like a grappling hook. But you could, yeah, just like a grappling hook in general. That'd be sick. Like if you could attach to terrain or like a behemoth pylon and just be like, I'm out. Like I would think that would be cool. There's utility there. You could style on stuff. We need aerial combat, I think, for that. But grappling hook, Phoenix Labs. Think about it. I think that's good. Let's talk about like amps and amp theming. Terra procs have to do with healing, but I want to step back from healing because if there's anything that like heal X amount, you deal a certain amount of damage, Iceborne will be super broken, but the hunger would be really good. I want to say that like if there's ever anything that's just like, hey, when you heal, you'll deal additional damage, the hunger is going to be really good because you're always just taking damage from your overdrive. That being said, I think we should maybe step back from healing and let's talk about shielding, because Scarn weapons are a Terra element weapon. They give a ton of shields, and my idea for like the keystone amp was if for my Dota players out there, I had to look up this character's name. I was thinking of Torturer from Heroes of Newerth. Fun fact, Revvy like way back caught Heroes of Newerth when it was I was like a founder for Heroes of Newerth, bought the beta and did all that. That game was so much fun when it first came out, but I had to look up who Torturer was in Dota, who is Leshrak, I think is what his name is. And basically what he does is when he gets his ultimate, he pulses damage for his mana bar. And so in vice versa, I would like to see shields. As you gain shields, maybe it like caps your shield at 200 or something, like a low amount, but maybe like every 100 shield that you gain, you pulse damage, and it just keeps pulsing and pulsing and pulsing every time you have it above, because you need to build. Maybe you would have to work like when you're above max HP. It's like 100 plus max HP plus 100 shield, then you start pulsing damage. That way you don't like just utterly kill yourself, because Iceborne is a kind of a factor. I'm theorizing as we go, but I do think that pulsing damage, like turning your shields into damage and converting into less survivability, brings these like shield and defense cells up in the interest factor. And so if you're like pulsing damage all the time, you could do like silly guardian builds with your friends. That would be fun. Scarn Lantern, just things that you don't really use a lot of become more interesting, and they get bumped up. And I think that's kind of like what they're trying to do with stagger, wound, and crits and all sorts of stuff in the other escalation theming. So I really like the idea of shields, and I would hope that instead of like healing or anything else like part damage or something just like boring, I hope they bring shields up into the mix. So the next thing I want to talk about is the cosmetic armors and the hunt pass, and these are two kind of separate things. Like think of like ultimate armor from the behemoth of Terra Escalation and the latest hunt pass, which is called Clear Skies. And then we get a teaser of this almost like, it looks like the recruit armor from like the starting armor in Monster Hunter, because I see the goggles here, and that's what it reminds me of. And I'll post a picture of for my non-Monster Hunter players, I'll post a picture of this, and then I'll show off the it reminds me of the Iceborne armor too, the starting Iceborne armor that's all white. Looks very similar. And so in the same vein, I really hope that they bring like the summer vibe for this Terra Escalation with another thematic sort of Monster Hunter deal, which is like a very Mardi Gras slash maybe South American themed armor set that's like very, very festive. And I think that ultra armor would be a really nice addition to the current cosmetics that we have. We have a lot of like maybe like futuristic or scientific stuff, but not just like festive. We have the last summer was like the pirate costumes, which I felt was a really good fit. But I think ultimately when it comes to these cosmetics, the inspiration should definitely be more driven towards summer and less of like the earth and druid stuff, because we kind of already have that. So that's where I'm hoping that the cosmetics go, more of like a playful summer theming. And then as far as everything else goes, I think my general hopes is just, I want to see more farce layers. I want to see more characters, and I hope that with new Ramsgate, we get more space to like meet these characters, learn more about them, and just get more lore tidbits, maybe even like outside of the journal as well, and just have more of a relationship with the characters. I think that's something that Dauntless kind of lacks, is I don't relate to any of the characters because they just don't really have a personality. You just run up and talk to them, which is kind of a shame, because there are some characters that I really enjoy, like Borman and Janek, Zelia, even Kat. Like, I think Kat's really cool, and the fact that you get to play her in the tutorial is freaking awesome. Like, I loved that little tidbit of flavor, but I don't feel like the characters come to life in the game, and that kind of disappoints me. So I hope that we get to venture more into the Farslayer lore and maybe introduce a couple more new Farslayer characters that will maybe assist Zelia and us to stem the mushroomy Terra Escalation threat, I guess. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. And if you want to support the channel, you can leave a like on this video. You can subscribe to the channel. You can hit up the Discord, and you can also hit the join button. That will get you, again, that partner flare. But thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you on the Shattered Isles.